Hello and welcome to Talk a Good Game. It's the final Hammers Chat video of this year. We're talking about the first game of next year. Gonzo, can I get your thoughts on Everton, please?
Yeah, a funny season really. They started off the season like they were going to win the league. Well, not that anybody expects them to, but they started off in really hot form, took a dip, and then they've got their form back. So that's 4 wins in the last 5 from Everton. So when you're looking at the form table, they're as good. In fact, they are the form team. There's nobody else that's got 4 wins in the last 5 apart from Everton. So they're clearly ready to go again. It's a funny club, really, because they've obviously lived in the shadow of their city rivals for a long time, and none more so than at the moment, which is obviously Liverpool come back to having success. But they've got themselves a good manager now. We know their owner's got a ton of money, and you sort of wonder what they're going to do with it now because they've been wasting money for a long, long time. I've got the impression, looking at Everton, particularly over the last few years, uh, recent years, that there was a couple of things that hindered them. Number one was their inability to get a good striker who could regularly score goals, and number two, the let's say the signing of a Wobie. I think pretty much summarised what Everton was all about, which was going and getting a player who wasn't one of the best wingers at one of the top clubs or something like that. They weren't going out and buying the best players. They were going and buying, players who are just under the radar and not quite as good as they should have done, but paying big money for them. I don't know how much they spent on Wobie. I think it might have been 30 odd million or something like that. When they did go and spend big money on other teams' big players like Balassi, another 30 odd million, it didn't really work out for them. And I just feel they've been very, very wasteful with money. Richarlison would buck the trend there, but even with players like Sigurdsson, 50 million, was he and is he a 50 million pound player? I think not. But I get the feeling that it's being run a little bit better now. I don't know if Ken Wright's got more involved because I understand he's still on the board there. But there seems to be more of a structure, more of a direction there now, and you feel under the stewardship of Ancelotti, certainly they have more direction, and I think we're starting to see that in their recruitment as well.
Yeah, I have to agree. I think it's an exciting future for Everton, actually, with their stadium being approved, and I assume they've started building it. I'm not 100% sure what progress they're at, but I've seen what it's going to look like at the end of it. So it's an exciting time for them. They've got quite a few good younger players as well in that first team. The likes of Richarlison is still in his early to mid 20s and stuff, so you can be there for a little while. So I think they're starting to put the foundations in with the team and the ground, and I think that's important. They've got someone who is one of the most underrated managers in modern football. I think he doesn't seem to get the plaudits as what say Jose Mourinho might do, but I think he's probably won. I wouldn't be surprised if he's won more trophies than Jose Mourinho. I did wonder if sort of Everton was the wrong club for Carlo Ancelotti. I don't mind admitting that. I thought not seeing Ancelotti in recent years go to a club and almost have a project. He seems to go into sort of ready-made teams and just guide them to trophies and stuff. Could he go to Everton and build, and that's why I wasn't sure if he would work at West Ham when we were going through the same management change as Everton at the same time. And at times it looks like he struggled a little bit, but all being all, I think they're doing fantastic. And I think the quality of him as a manager shining through at Goodison Park as well. I think they love him up there too. I think that carries a lot of weight actually when you've got the fan base behind you as a manager. Everything's just a lot more relaxed. Everything's just a lot more calm. And there's a few clubs like that in the Premier League, and Everton's one of them. Some good players there. Are they European contenders this season, Gonzo?
Oh, without a shadow of a doubt. Such a weird season, Geo, at the moment. Even watching the football last night, I tuned in for the last little bit of Newcastle and Liverpool. And, it was a draw, and you think it's such a topsy-turvy season. Whenever you think a team are going to get some momentum, they tend to slip up and lose points where you don't expect them to. It almost seems like everyone's had a go. Everton had a go. Leicester had a go. Man United had a little bit of form at one point, and then dipped. Tottenham had a go, and people were saying, "Can they win the title?" They dipped. City had a go. It's a funny one. It's like a horse race where the leader keeps changing, or the team of momentum. Everton are one of those, and we've already seen that they're in form. Had they not had, they'd be kicking themselves. Had they not had their little dip, I think they would be at the top of the league as well. So, under any other circumstances, you ask me, could they win the league? I would say no, because normally in recent years, a team that wins the league is formidable and runs away with it. But I don't look at the moment and see a formidable team in the Premier League. Lots of impressive teams, lots of teams with good managers, impressive players, but I don't see last season Liverpool under Klopp, the season before when Liverpool only lost one game in the whole season, still didn't win the league. Why? Because Manchester City was so formidable. I don't see that team at the moment, which leaves it open, and particularly at the moment, a team like Everton are well in the mix. Certainly European football, definitely.
Yeah, I have to agree. I think what's impressive, the run they're on at the minute, what's really impressive is they've got no James Rodriguez. Richarlison's had his suspension, and he's had his injury niggles as well. They've got no fullback. Seamus Coleman's out. Lucas Dean's been out. Atalan's been out. Half their first team's been missing. They're still winning games. And, they're playing 4 centre-backs at the minute. And they're still winning. They're still looking good. And you watch them, you think, crikey, this team... He's almost, we speak about Sheffield United and other teams, and we say that they're getting better, they're getting more than some of their parts kind of thing. When you look at the players, you think, oh, championship squad, but they're playing really well in Premier League as a team. Everton's got that about them as well, actually. You look at players like Iwobi and Bernard and Sigurdsson and even Tom Davies now, you look at them and you think, actually, while on paper, they're nothing spectacular individually, but Ancelotti's got them playing as a team together, and they're a unit. Iwobi's better. This is the best I've seen of Iwobi at Everton since he joined. I think it was 40 million, but that fee's sort of inflated with all the add-ons and stuff. It was only 40 million if they get all the add-ons, but it did look like one of football's worst deals, essentially, in modern times. But Ancelotti's doing really well there, and if he had all these players fit for the whole season, they'd have a few more points on the board, and that's a scary thing. So I think certainly European football should be on the list. And I wonder how tempting it's going to be for Everton in the January transfer window, actually, too, because they're going to be sitting there having, like you said, wasted a lot of money thinking, actually, we've now got the right man in charge of the team. We're in the right position going into January, because over the years, they've been going into January in the bottom half of the table, closer to the relegation zone than the European spots. That's why they'd get Sam Allardyce in at one point. But now they're looking at that, thinking they're going into this game fourth, I think. They're going into this game fourth in the table, and they might be looking at January transfer window thinking, hang on, if we give this guy one top player, that could just keep us up there for the rest of the season and stuff. And I wouldn't be surprised if they're sort of outsiders for the Champions League at the minute. This is a club, Gonzo, very much finally getting it right after years of just wasting their resources.
Yeah, I mean, I'm obviously 18 months older than you, so I remember Everton under Howard Kendall. So I can remember Everton winning the league. I remember Everton with Gary Lineker up front and having a very good team and have the best goalkeeper in the world in Neville Southall. So Everton winning things is in my memory. But I am mindful that a lot of people have never seen Everton win anything at all. But Everton are a proper football club, a really proper football club with a proper history and excellent fan base. There's not an awful lot to dislike about Everton, apart from the fact they've been over the years a bit of a bogey team for West Ham and they pinched Tony Cottee. But apart from that, they're very nice.
Yeah, I think they suffered from selling Lukaku. I think that really stunted them, essentially. They didn't really know what to do. They went and splashed money on Keane, and he came in and didn't really work out for them and stuff. But I think they've gone back to basics in some ways. They took a gamble on Rodriguez. They got him for free at the end. At the end of the day, it didn't cost them a penny. And he's getting the best out of him there at Everton. Do they still have the old Leicester guy? What's his name? Is it Walsh, the director of football?
The old centre-back. I don't know.
No, he's director of football. The guy at Leicester that brought in Mahrez and Conte.
I know the guy you mean. Yeah. I don't know. Steve Walsh, isn't it? Steve Walsh.
Yes, he was at Everton. I think he was responsible for a few of the big signings at Everton, but I don't know if he's still there. Just come to me. Anyway, pleasure Mayo from Everton, please.
Just to touch on Davis, I'm not suggesting Davis is a world-class player or anything like that, but I always liked him because he plays football without looking at his feet, which is just plays with his head up. Which I just always like thinking it really is particularly helpful when you're playing a game of football. So I always quite liked him, actually. The player and you're right, because I think they bought Godfrey, didn't they, from Norwich, and they've been playing him at left back, which was actually one of their one of the positions that made their team so good. So that's a hell of a loss for Everton to lose their left back. That was one of their best positions there. On right back, it's quite funny actually, because I've never seen the kid play for Everton, but I watch England under 21s, under 18s many times, and John Joe Kenny is where have I seen? I've seen him play somewhere. Anyway, whatever. I've seen him play a few times, and he's excellent. By the way, I mean, just one of the best youngsters I've seen play. So I don't know what's happened there, why he doesn't play, but that's quite interesting. Richarlison obviously is a really good player. I think Mina, from what I've seen of Mina, he looks like the player they probably thought they were getting when England played Colombia in the World Cup, and he looked an absolute monster, an absolute menace. And I don't know. It didn't turn out like that. It appeared that they sort of thought they were buying a dinosaur, and they actually, got a My Little Pony. And I feel now Mina is playing like the beast that he actually is. I do want to mention the obvious one though, which is Calvert-Lewin, because I've not been so impressed by a player in a very, very long time. He's a rare breed. He's a super intelligent footballer. I don't just mean the way he plays. I like the way he carries himself. I like his demeanour. I love him in interviews. I love how grounded he is. I'll tell you what, he's outstanding. His parents have done some job on him, I tell you, because to hear how balanced he was on getting the England call up, to hear how respectful he was speaking about Harry Kane. I was so impressed. He was speaking respectfully about Harry Kane, really, really humble, but you knew in his mind he's thinking, I'm going to take this geezer's place eventually, which I really liked. I like the fact that he's an individual. I love the way he carries himself on the pitch. I like the way he plays. I've been so impressed with what I've seen from Calvert-Lewin. There is nothing to dislike about this kid, and I'm really, really pleased for him. Highly impressed with him.
Yeah, I remember when he got called up for England, he went in to meet Gareth Southgate and he took his hat off. He had like an old flat cap on, and Southgate came over and he took it off and held it in his hand to shake his hand. And Gareth Southgate made a joke, "Oh, nice hat," and he said, "It's my granddad's." He had his granddad's cap on and stuff. I like that. Right?
But just the manners as well to take it. Yeah, he's class. He's absolute class.
Yeah, he's the one player I've got the most wrong since doing videos on Hammer's Chat. I remember 2 or 3 years ago saying this geezer ain't good enough. Everton need to get a top striker in. He's not good enough, kind of thing. He's the one that, like, you look a little bit silly when you look back at them. You call some right, Danny Ings, but you get some wrong. And he's the one. If I had to write down the 10 I got wrong the most, he would be probably my number one, actually. I think he's just incredible. His movement in the box and stuff is unbelievable. Richarlison is one of my favourite players in the Premier League. I think he's just got everything about him. I like his attitude. I know a lot of people find him a bit divey and moany and stuff, but he's got that aggression that I like. If someone skins him, he runs after them. And yeah, okay, he might kick him at the end of it, but you know something, I'd much rather that than someone that stands around and looks at and goes, well, he's past me now, I'm not going to worry about it. I like that player that's got that bit between their teeth about him, and it gets him in trouble a little bit, but it's a bit like Wayne Rooney, isn't it? People always said, yeah, but take that away from Wayne Rooney, you won't be the same player. And I think Richarlison's one of them. If you stopped Richarlison being that little bit of a menace, I don't think he'd be the same player. I think he would take away a lot of his good bits as well. So I quite like the way he's almost like a free spirit, shall we call it. I think Alan's probably one of the best signings of the summer. Actually, I think it's very much gone under the radar. The likes of Thiago and all that stole his thunder a little bit. But when I watched him for Everton, he's had a couple of poor games, but there's been other games I've watched it. He's completely bossed the midfield. He's controlled the tempo of the game for Everton, and it allows the players in front of him to go and play football a little bit, knowing you've got someone so good behind you sitting in midfield. I think he's just a fantastic player. I'm surprised they got him, actually. When I seen him going to Everton, I thought, well, how did they manage to get him? Then, of course, there's Ahmed Rodriguez. He's world class. What, 2014 World Cup? He did that goal for Colombia. It must have been 2014. He did that ball.
Did he win a Golden Boot? Did he?
Yeah, he won the Golden Boot, and he won the goal of the tournament award as well for that volley. I think. Fantastic player, but he's just sort of one of those that you look at over the last couple of years and think, what happened to him? Now we're seeing him in the Premier League cutting defences open like they don't exist and stuff. I think they've got some really good players in there, but a really rubbish goalie. They get the goalie sort of position sorted out, and then I think they'll be all right. Anyway, enough about Everton. Time to talk about West Ham United. Gonzo, some good news, I guess. Sufal, Bowen, Balbuena all rested. against Southampton, so they're all fighting fresh to go. Antonio's back, had 15 minutes. Moises confirmed he came through it perfectly fine. He's all right. I expect you want to see some changes, but not too many changes.
Yeah, I think that would be fair to say that. Yeah, I think the obvious changes. I think we're still mindful that this is going to be the third match in whatever 8 days, whatever it may be, and obviously Everton have had the break, unforced, an enforced break. Sorry, should I say, because they had the COVID breakout at Manchester City, where they were due to play. So they will be more rested than we are. So I do feel we need to take care of a couple of players, maybe that have played all the games. So in this instance, one of those would certainly be Aaron Cresswell. I think 3 games in 8 days. Bearing in mind he's not playing from the comfort of centre half, he's probably going to be playing at left fullback. I think it may well be wise to take him out of the equation, Gio.
So how would you like to line up at the back then, totally?
I'd play 4. I'd play 4 at the back, definitely, for this one. Yeah, certainly. Do you want to see my team? It would be Soufal. Yeah. I'm going to go with Dawson again. 2 reasons. Number 1, whatever, arguably man of the match. Number 2, Calvert-Lewin is just fantastic in the air. When the ball comes in from the right, Richarlison is a big boy as well. He gets in there and he's very, very dominant in the air, it seemed. So I would keep Dawson in there for those 2 reasons as well. Ogbonna and Ben Johnson at left fullback.
Ogbonna's a bit risky, is it not? He's played pretty much every minute this season. You're just hoping he's got enough about him to play one more game.
I think there's more risk. There's more risk in not playing him. I think he's so pivotal. He's so good. He's so consistent. I think there's almost a bigger risk. I don't listen. Touch wood. I don't think he's particularly injury prone. It's the risk of him being tired. I think the risk of playing, let's say, Dawson and Balbuena next to each other is probably more of a risk than a tired Ogbonna. So yeah, I would still go with that.
I would play the exact same back 5 as you, including Fabianski. Just for the reasons you stated, really. I think it's important to rotate a little bit, but also we go for the win. I think we need to play a strong team, because as much as we've got fixture congestion, we don't know we're going to be playing our next fixture. Well, now on, every fixture is like, could this be our last game for a few weeks? And I think you've almost got, it might be a bit naive, but I think you've got to approach it that it is, because the last thing you want to do is rotate half of your team, play a game, get beat, and then the following game gets postponed. You're thinking, well, we'll just rested half our team for no reason, for that matter. So I would continue to play as strong as possible, not hope that the games get postponed, but just in case something happens, because could you imagine being, Everton, let's just say Everton rested half their team before the Man City game, and then Man City game gets called off. Ancelotti may be thinking, I've just lost that game, or just dropped 2 points in that game for no reason now. So I think for that, I would continue to try and feel as strong as possible. We've got the FA Cup coming up around the corner as well, and as much as I want to see a cup run, we are playing Stockport, and I would expect to be able to rest almost 11 players for that one. But Ogbonna in that back line is my little worry that he might need a little rest. I'm not seeing anything on the pitch to suggest he does. It's just that A, his age, and B, the amount of games we're playing recently would add up to it. Midfield, how would you like to see us line up? We played like a 4-1-4-1 on paper, if you like. Would you like to see us continue with that formation?
I'd go 4-2-3-1 for this one. I'll put Rice and Souček in the middle. There's no viable alternatives there, bearing in mind who's featuring for me ahead of that. And for the fitness, Souček's fitness doesn't worry me. He's just got amazing stamina reserves, hasn't he? Rice would be a little bit of a concern because he does get tired. We've seen it before with Rice when he plays back-to-back games for England and he comes back, so he can get tired. But again, it's too much of a risk to drop Declan Rice for this game. He's got to. Sorry, Declan, you're gonna have to play, mate. So yeah, I'd play with. So that would be my 2 in midfield, and then the 3 in front of them would be Lanzini, Fornals in the number 10, and Benny Benrahma on the left.
Yeah, same 5 as me. I would like to see, rather than having Fornals on a 10, I'd like to see him playing centre midfield so that Souček can actually go forward and Fornals sits with Declan. I think Souček, though, while I get what you're saying about his stamina, I think he's looked quite tired in the last couple of games. I do think he hasn't been quite as energetic, if you like, which is expected. But the problem is we've got no one to put in. It's not even like we've got an adequate. You look at Noble and Snodgrass, the 2 players I could put in, and you look at them and you think, the difference between Do you know if you said you could have picked any centre back to partner Obama today, and I wouldn't have flinched. If you said Diop, Baldwin, or Dawson, I would have went, yeah, right, that's fine. If you picked anyone apart from Rice and Solchek, I would have went, don't know about that, Gonzo. And we saw them both play at Goodison Park in the Cup and get absolutely slaughtered there. We had nothing with them. No, Moyes would never take them both out at the same time. But even just taking one out would just really sort of stifle the midfield. So I would like to see Rice with Fornals and Solchek in there, and then Lanzini and Ben Ramo on the sides. But the big question is who you're going to play up front, I guess, because we don't know how fit Mikel Antonio is. He's a little bit fit, I guess. But what option do we have?
Well, I'm going to start with Mikel Antonio on the bench, and because of my three behind the striker of Lanzini, Fornals, and Ben Rama, I doubt there's much difference between my team and yours. It's just slightly different. But Fornals playing centrally, I would look at that and then choose maybe somebody who I then bring. Antonio's coming on at half time, probably for me in my formation anyway. But I would choose whoever's been least effective there. But I would play Jared Bowen up front, and I would do that with direct instructions to firstly enjoy yourself, because you can have Lanzini, Fornals, and Ben Rama behind you. Secondly, to don't come back. As much as he likes to work hard and do all his stuff, do not come back further than the halfway line, and be there for our outball. And I'd play him for a half. It doesn't mean Bowen comes off at half time. If Lanzini's had a poor game, maybe Bowen then switches over and plays right wing, and Antonio goes on, Lanzini comes off, or so on and so forth. But I think it adds a little bit of fluidity to your substitutions there. But that's what I'd do.
Yeah, I would play Bowen as well, actually. I've always liked Yarmolenko up front, but he was so bad the last game. Even if he's in a different position, I don't think you can reward him almost by keeping him in the team. You've got to almost punish Yarmolenko. Don't really want to see Sebastian Allaire anymore. And it's not because it's Sebastian Allaire, just because he doesn't fit the way we want to play. Moyes isn't going to change. Allaire's not going to change. We just have to accept that and just forget about it. And it's a pity the under 23s have all this COVID thing going on, because there's one or two players I would like to see in the team from then as well. But my difference with Bowen to your Bowen is I would like to see Bowen come back, but that's if one of them's always up front. Between Lanzini, Ben Ram, and Bowen, one of them's always in the striker role. When sometimes I watch Wolves, while Wolves have been a bit crap recently and been a bit boring to watch, they were playing the other night, Man United, they were playing, and they had NATO, at one point they had NATO Traore, Providence or something, I think. And often one of them would run and say to the other one, you just stay centre, I'll run back and chase this guy, and then we'll just swap over like for like. You almost don't have a striker, you almost have one of the three, and then you just interchange, and it makes it difficult to mark as well. I think when you're a centre-back, you're up against Bowen, for example, and all of a sudden you've got Ben Rama there, and all of a sudden you've got Lanzini there, thinking, hang on a minute, what's going on here? They all play different styles of football, they all kick with different feet. I just like to keep people guessing. The problem with our team, both of our teams, we've just got no height. Apart from Solchek, there's no point crossing it almost, because I wouldn't fancy Bowen, Ben Rama, Lanzini, Fornals, Solchek. I really wouldn't fancy anyone getting on the end of it. So it's difficult. So we'd have to change the way we play. But I do think Everton would allow us to play counter-attacking football more so than perhaps the other team we faced recently. You're confident for this one?
No, but I'm not. I'm not fearful. So. I think apart from that, you can tell roughly what I'm going to predict. But it's hard to be confident, Geo, because I do think they're a really good team, and we spent the first 10 minutes of this video praising them. So lots and lots of good players. There's some that are coming back from injury. I don't know if James Rodgers played in the last game for them, but he's coming back from injury. So it'll be just our luck that he comes back and starts pulling the strings in the middle. Hopefully not. That's why we should have Rice involved again. But it's hard to be confident. But I think there's enough resilience about us. We've got to get that attacking blend right. In fact, I think the blend was right that he got against Southampton. I think just the personnel and how they might have been deployed and the choice of the players was slightly wrong. But I don't think we were far off. Swap a couple of those players out and a couple in. Well, look, we've both picked the same team, Gio. We both picked the same 11. So clearly, something like that is going to be defensively pretty good. And it's also going to provide some attacking intent. And I think Soufal coming back is really important because of your man, Richarlison. if Soufal has one of his games where he shuts down the opposition, I know, he drifts in and he scored a goal in the last game, didn't he, Richarlison? Or was it? No, it was the game before. Anyway, whatever. He scored very recently. I know he drifts in, but Soufal's the type of player that will follow him and trick him and then get the block and that sort of thing. And I think he may have a harder day at the office, which is going to be advantageous for West Ham, because if you can stop Richarlison playing, that's a big part of their attack.
Yeah, I'm quite optimistic, actually. I know a lot of people have pointed to the fact that Everton have had an extra break and therefore are more well rested and stuff. But you could argue that now's a good time to play Everton as well due to their injuries. Rodriguez is injured. Rodriguez is out. Dean's still injured. Alan's still injured. Coleman's doubtful. Richarlison, while he's back, he's not going to be 100% fit and stuff. So it's in terms of their squad, it's very. We've got actually, in terms of our first 11, I think we've got more players available than what Everton do. It's just a case of fatigue, obviously, comes into question, but you can't have it both ways. You can say, oh, well, it's a bad time to play Everton. It is, but it's also a good time when you look at the personnel they've got available. I'm optimistic, but not too. I think that's just a festive optimism, if you like. It's going to be a difficult game. I don't see there'll be many goals, to be honest with you. I think they're better than Southampton and Brighton, but, like I said, they've got a lot of injuries and stuff. They'll probably be playing two centre-backs at full-back again. Holgate and Godfrey will probably continue to be the centre-backs. And I know you like Tom Davies, but I don't think he's that great. I think he's an average Premier League player at best, which is, again, not a bad thing. You'll still have a good career as a Premier League player. But I think when Everton are wanting to go places, I think that's the type of player they're going to have to upgrade on. The formation means that Sigurdsson's probably going to be sitting deeper than he would like, and that's something that we could look to expose because he's an attacking midfielder by nature. In the last game, he scored the goal and stuff, and whoever it was against, can't remember, it got laid off to him and he took it past the player and whacked it into the bottom corner. They won 1-0, but I think it might be fooling for some reason. But he was playing the sort of defensive midfielder that game. But I'm optimistic, Gonzo, but I think I'm going to predict the same as you for this one. I think I'm going to predict the same. So with all that said and done, can I get your score prediction, please?
Yeah, I'm going to go. Oh, blimey. I'm going to go for a 1-1 on this one, and I think you look back on it. This is if we do it, of course, and actually it would be 24 points after 17 games. And whilst you might look at it, I think 3 draws on the bounce. Actually, in a bigger picture of it, it would probably mean we had 24 points. We were probably in 10th, and actually going into the transfer window, it wouldn't be bad at all, if not particularly thrilling. So yeah, 1-1.
While you talk about the bigger picture and the shorter picture, there's a medium picture though, which means a draw would be 1 win in 7. So the form table for us wouldn't look too pretty. I'm also going to go for a draw. I'm going to go for 1-1 as well. Actually, I do think I was tempted to go 0-0, to be honest with you, because I think the Premier League at the minute is just slowing down in general, not just West Ham and Everton. Premier League itself just doesn't seem to have much goals at the minute. Barring Leeds smashing Sam Allardyce.
What was the score at the end? I switched.
5-0.
Oh, okay. I switched off.
Stopped at half time.
If you'd have said 9, I wouldn't have been surprised.
Yeah, it was 5-0, and Allardyce come out saying that we shouldn't be playing football at this period.
He's got to have an excuse. You got to have an excuse for Sam.
Well, he's playing a blinder, isn't he? He wants a month with his team. He wants a month to get his players in and get his team drilled to the way he plays. He didn't say anything.
Like Sam says, no team of mine will ever concede 3 goals.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. But he didn't say anything after the Liverpool draw, did he? No, he was happy as Larry then. All of a sudden, he's a bit concerned about this new thing called COVID-19 that he never heard of.
Absolutely. Who would have thought it? If only he'd have known that when he took the job.
Yeah, quite. Anyway, enough Sam Allardyce. 1-1 from both of us, actually. We've been Hammers chatting. This has been 2020. Just a massive thank you to everybody's support over the year, of course. We're going nowhere, including tomorrow. So you can join us for our match build-up. We'll do a little longer build-up than normal. We normally do 20 minutes. But I don't know about you, Gonzo, but I quite enjoyed it.
I think we could do 21 minutes tomorrow.
Yeah, maybe 22. It's a new year. We'll just take an extra couple of minutes. But I quite enjoyed the interactive bit on the build-up on the last one, so I'd like to do more of that. So join us tomorrow. And kickoff is
4:30.
I don't know. It's we'll be live.
Boris,
We'll
thank
be
you for doing his Hammers check. Stay tuned
Well-
for all the latest, up-to-date and accurate news on Hammers check.
We'll be live an hour and a half. We'll be alive an hour and 5 minutes for a kickoff. We'll see you then. Catch you in a bit.
See you later. It's